So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the one panelist that I know that I see here, Nick Clark, who maybe, let's see, Nick, maybe you can start your video.
There we go. How's that?
Awesome. That is perfect. I see you. You're in uniform. That's exciting.
Okay. What would you
Um,
like?
well, so I'm gonna kind of walk through the same questions with all of the panelists. And the first question is basically just, I know there's no real typical day in anybody's job, but if you could give just a brief overview of like what could happen in any given day, um, or like in any given week, like what does your day look like when you're starting a shift and
Sure. So we start our shifts here in Alameda at 8 o'clock in the morning. So typically we will show up between 6:30 and 7. So that way you have time to relieve the off-going crew and they're not stuck on some type of emergency and then they're not able to get off on time. When you show up, first put on your uniform, check in with your crew, and then you're going to go ahead and you're going to check out your equipment. So depending which unit you're on, we have engines, we have trucks. They are different. One has water and one has a lot of tools. And then here in Alameda, we also have ambulances and a care team unit. But with all those pieces of equipment, you have to check out your appropriate PPE. So for us, you start with your structure gear, which is for actually fighting fire. Make sure that that's all good to go. We have a self-contained breathing apparatus, which is a backpack type assembly that carries up air for us to be able to breathe inside the buildings. We want to make sure that those are checked out, ready to go. Your hose loads, depending on your rank, you have different specific pieces of equipment that you're responsible for. So as a firefighter like myself, it's going to be all of the tools that we could use, up to and including the hose, axes, medical gear, that type of thing. Then specifically, we'll dive into the medical component. We run a lot of medical calls in the fire service. So you want to make sure that everything is fully ready and stocked. We carry different narcotics and drugs. That's very detailed, and those are Schedule One narcotics. So it's kind of a big deal if something is off there. So there's a certain logging process we have to do. And then once you're done with all your equipment checkout, it's usually sometime after 8 o'clock. We have a morning meeting at about 8:10 in the morning, and that's going to be with our battalion chief, and he or she will meet with the company officers, the captains, and they'll have a phone call. They'll line out the whole day. So there's a calendar that has training. It has different events. So something like the Zoom meeting will be on there, so we can all get on the same page, make sure that we still have coverage to run emergencies within the city. And then from there, at each of our 4 stations, that company officer or captain will sit down with their crew and then line them out, make sure everybody is going to be where they need to be. And then from there, it's truly what the day holds. So whatever emergency incidents that we're going to be running, we don't know. Today was fairly busy. All the ambulances were out. There's a lot of training going on, so a lot of moving parts today. And those calls can be anything from EMS calls to fire. We're an island, so we have the water rescue component. So we don't really know what the day will bring or what the night will hold. Somewhere in between, we'll try to take lunch. Lunch gets interrupted. Today we had sandwiches, and my personal sandwich was very soggy because we ran a call that lasted quite a while. So we didn't get back till 2 o'clock or so to eat lunch. And then after that, there's 90 minutes of physical fitness that's mandatory for you. So we have a gym at all of our stations. So get some workout time. There'll be dinner cooked by one of our members. Sit down, have dinner. If you're interrupted by calls, then so be it. And then here we are with the Zoom meeting. And then after this meeting, the rest of the crews, they're downstairs kind of cleaning up after dinner. But they will, or we will run calls throughout the night if that's what brings. And if there's no calls tonight, then there's no calls. But typically, the stations will get up a handful of times throughout the night while most people are sleeping. And then there's general cleanup of the station in the morning, and you have your laundry and all those types of things that you would have at home because we work 48-hour shifts. So we started this morning at 8, and we will get off. We'll work all day tomorrow, and then we'll get off. I guess it'd be Thursday morning at 8 o'clock, and then we'll go home for 4 days.
Well, that sounds like a pretty regimented and hectic schedule. How long have you been a firefighter?
I've been in the fire service. This is my 22nd or 23rd year now.
Okay. Um, Let me ask you, I mean, you've been doing it for 2 decades.
Mhm.
Do you enjoy what you do?
I love it. It's something where if a lot of people don't enjoy going to work, I haven't had those days yet. Every day is an opportunity to leave somebody's worst day better than the way that we found it. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy the people that I work with. It's a lot of fun. It's all teamwork here. So I enjoy that component of it. Like I said, I've never had a day where I didn't really enjoy being at work. Obviously I enjoy my off time, but when we're at work, we're here to do our job, but we care for each other. We care for the people that we serve. And I love doing what I do.
That's great. So what steps did you take between high school and becoming a firefighter?
Okay, so personally, the route that I went, I worked for Cal Fire, which is a state. I got hired at 18 right out of high school. I did that for a few seasons. That's in the summertime. That's all the wildland fires for the most part. Then I continued to work on my education. So I went to college, and in college, you get your general education done, and then I have an AS degree in fire science. There's also a medical component, so you can become at minimum emergency medical technician, or you can go on to be a paramedic, which is about a 2-year process. And then there's other specialties that we have in the fire service. So it could be, if you have a niche for a rescue component, if you want to be a swimmer, a rescue swimmer, the opportunities are really endless. So you can specialize in certain things to make yourself more appealing for departments. And then from there, you just start applying. It's really good to have experience as a volunteer. So there's some agencies that have either a reserve program or volunteer programs where you're going into the fire service and you're learning from those members of what the job actually is. My older brother, he tried to do it and he found out very quickly that it wasn't for him. He didn't enjoy it. So it truly has to be something that you enjoy doing. There's a lot of risks with it. Our job is dangerous and it's not for everybody, and that's okay.
What was there anything that you did in high school or even before high school that maybe better prepared you or gave you the idea to try Cal Fire?
Yeah, it's team sports. So I did football, wrestling, and swimming. So I've always been part of a team, and that's what the fire service is. You have to rely on other people. You have to put your trust in them. You come together with a goal and work, hand in hand to achieve those things. There's a program called the Fire Explorer program, and it's ran through the Boy Scouts of America. It's under that umbrella. But that's what I did. I started at 15 and a half, and like one night a week or 1 week in a month type, you have training and you're out there, you're doing the same host pools that we do. You get to throw the ladders. That you're not exposed to live fire or it's called IDLH, immediate danger to life and health environments. But you get to go out there, and after you've proven yourself and you go through a probationary period, you can run calls with us and actually see what it's like to be in an emergency. So I did that up until 18, and then I became a member of Cal Fire and also the reserve program. So those are some steps you can take in high school.
That's great. Um, I would love to keep asking you questions, but I'm going to keep moving with the panel. If it's
Sure.
possible for you to stick around, we're going to do a Q&A at the end.
Okay.
If you can be here, that'd be great.
Okay. I will try my best. If we get called away, then I will be out of here.
Obviously, yeah, go help someone. Do you happen to know, is Kyle going to be available for this?
You know what, Kyle? He was ill today. He didn't make it
Okay.
into work, so
Okay.
I don't believe we'll see him.
All right. Thank you so much, and
No problem.
we'll circle back to you for the Q&A at the end.
Thank you.
We have Tara Wachtel with us now. I'm going to get chatting with Tara. If you can turn on your video, then we will see you. No, I saw Tara on there.
Hi,
Hey, Tara.
how are you?
Good.
Good,
Thanks for
good.
joining us. Tara and I are long friends, so
Ages.
she was guilted into doing this. Um, so I'm asking people basically the same types of questions, which is essentially as a starting point, like what does your job look like? You know, what would you tell someone to understand what you do in your profession and a typical type of day?
Sure. So as a professional chef in California, it sort of has, um, you can go many different routes, if you decided it was something you're interested in doing. I think, the route that I went initially is to dive into fine dining because I grew up in kind of a wine country area. So it's kind of, if you are interested in the way that food brings people together, um, around the world, which is probably the impetus for me starting it, and, interested in food culture and food history.
Mhm.
Um, I think you can kind of take it where you want, at a certain point, but you know, the excuse me, I lost my ear pod. Um, the um the beginnings of it are sort of nebulous because it's not something that you
Oh,
can
you're getting a
learn
little ch
overnight. Yeah, I'm sorry. I live way out in the country. Let me see if I can fix the connectivity stuff. My apologies. I didn't expect the that to be a problem here. Hmm. Bear with me, guys. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. You were just getting a little
Okay.
choppy digital. Let me ask you, so, we got high school kids on this call,
Yeah,
and maybe you could talk about your path from high school to what you do now.
sure.
Yeah.
Well, I took my first cooking job when I was 16, just out of pure interest. And I sort of was bussing tables at a local restaurant, and I thought what they were doing in the kitchen looked more fun. So, so I asked if I could help a couple of times, and then they offered me the job, and I moved over, and I had a really that was I just dove right in because it seemed more interesting. Um, and then I developed a real affinity for it, and I think when you express interest to someone who really loves their job as a young person, they're more apt to kind of show you the ropes.
hmm
And that was my experience, absolutely. So they kind of see that you're interested in what they're doing, and they're more apt to show you their passion.
And so you just jumped in with both feet, actually cooking in high school.
I
Okay.
did, and I cooked part-time as a part-time job for a couple of years, and then decided to go to Europe and eat and drink some things for a while, and came back and went to culinary school. And that's sort of the my entrance into the field officially. My culinary school at the time, the best one in the area for my needs was the Santa Rosa Junior College in
Mhm.
Santa Rosa, and it really, like I said, it was a kind of a food destination area, so it had a pretty great program, and it's also pretty affordable for someone like me who was not interested or couldn't find a way around a 4-year college situation. I wasn't really sure how far I wanted to take it, so I just decided to start taking some classes and see where it took me.
Yeah.
And then that led to some kind of externship developments where more of these restaurants were interested in someone who's really interested in learning. So I got to really take my basics that I learned from school and my interest, and then just apply it to some available positions in the area. And I sort of worked my way up from there.
Yeah. Let me ask you, because I know you told me offline outside of doing this that there's definitely challenging days and you've had challenging months and years working in your field. So, I always like to ask people like, do you enjoy your job? And if not, what is it that's challenging in a good way and what's challenging in not good ways?
Well, sometimes I think if I had to do it over again, would I choose the same field? And there have been times in my career when I said, "This is it. I'm done doing this."
Yeah.
Um, and it always comes at peculiar times. You've done a single job for a certain period of time, or you have maximized your interest, uh, you know, working with French food or working with Italian food, and somehow, yes, it's an incredibly demanding job. There's no way around that piece. But if you're interested in continually growing your knowledge, I mean, there is no end to what you can learn. I'm um, 48 and I have been doing this for close to, it's been over 30 years. So I constantly find something new to challenge me in this field. And you're absolutely right. The first 5, 6, 7 years were what I consider to be on the job training, on the job education, if you will, because you're not really making a great paycheck that first
Mhm.
10 years. It was enough to pay the bills, and it was enough to take me on some occasional trips around the world for jobs, right? But it's not really gonna like pull in the kind of money that you would get from something maybe more traditional. But I've really enjoyed where it's taken me. I'm an adventure person. I'm a sort of spontaneous person. So if there's an opportunity to work in another country, I've taken those options to work in um, catering and wineries and work for uh, uh, rich people doing enormous banquets in their homes and wine caves and working for celebrities and all sorts of like things that you probably wouldn't be able to do with your 9 to 5. And at this
Yeah.
point in the game, it does a little bit better than just pay the bills. So yeah.
So,
So
would you recommend your line of work to someone who had the interest, had the drive?
that's tricky because some people say that the fastest way to stop loving to cook is to try to do it for a living. Um, but um, I say that whether it's cooking or not, I feel like the pursuit of it, you're not really going to know unless you try. If
Yeah.
you're interested in like really digging in and you're a go-getter and you are maybe a little bit of an adrenaline junkie, a little bit, and you like to constantly be learning and you're interested in um, your job taking you a wide variety of different directions, um, I'd say go for it. If it sounds like something you really like. I wouldn't expect it to be all flash and fun like it shows on the Cooking Network, though. It was like I was doing this for 15 years before someone offered me a slot on TV, and I will tell you I declined because that's not really why I wanted to be cooking. But I think a lot of younger cooks sort of think that if they go to the Culinary Institute of America and they work at a fancy restaurant, that it's going to be all exciting all the time. It's really mostly hard work. The highs are really high, but it is a lot of production, refinement, um, an open mind for learning. You have to collaborate with a bunch of people every day, all day long. And if you're working in a restaurant environment, it's hot, it's sweaty, there's highs and lows. And if someone doesn't like your food, they're going to tell you. Yeah.
Sure.
So if that sounds at all interesting, this job is for you.
Well, I can tell everyone that's on this that you made one of the best meals I've ever had, and I know you've heard this many times. And I know that, you work in a very high-end environment right now for, lots of famous people. And, there's a lot of things there's a lot of bells and whistles and shiny parts to what you do. And, you've been very clear with me over the years about how nitty gritty it can get and draining at times too. But it sounds like there's a lot of
Yes,
aspects that you appreciate about it and love about it still.
absolutely. There's a lot more things in the plus column than there are in the
Yeah.
negative column, you could say. Yes.
Let me ask just last question before we move on to the next person, and then we'll do the Q&A at the end for anyone who has questions. But is there any specific advice or recommendations or pointers that you might give a high school student who kind of wanted to head in this direction as their,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. I would say before making a big decision about a specialized school, take a restaurant job. You know, you will know very quickly whether or not that part is interesting to you because the first 3 to 5 years you will be in the trenches in a restaurant and you'll have to prove yourself to whomever is running the place. So if you think you might want to be a cook, it's very easy for you to just get in the side door by getting a restaurant job. And that could be, honestly, it could be anywhere because most people in high-end environments are looking for someone who is engaged in what they're doing, does not need to be motivated by constant encouragement, is a self-starter,
Mhm.
and someone who is open to learning and can take direction well. If you have that and you've worked at Chili's for like 6 months, that is honestly it's the first step because it is actually incredibly hard to find. um, I'm not saying it's not as, let's see, I'd say 20 years ago was the heyday, and it was easy to find a lot of people who were very interested in the field. It is probably less so now than it was back then. And so you kind of have to really show that it's something that you're really interested in. And I think just those little steps will give you an advantage if that's something that you find like you might want to try.
Well, thank you so much. And if you're able to stick around, we're going to do a little Q&A maybe in like 20 minutes.
Absolutely.
Great. Thanks so much, Tara.
Of course.
All right. I know I have Jose Reynoso here. If you could get your video going and we'll pin you so everyone can see you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, yeah. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Joe, for inviting us. I think if you guys believe in destiny, this is it. Because I wasn't supposed to be here. My brother was supposed to be speaking for me, but
Well,
here I am.
we're so glad to have you be a part of this. And the thing that I wanted to start out with, I already told everyone that you and your brother are co-owners of Ed's Electrical, and so I assume you're both electricians. That's my assumption.
Yes,
Um, if you could tell us kind of like a typical day, if there is a typical day, like briefly, what
absolutely.
it is
Yeah,
that you
so
do. Yeah.
I think this is one of the most beautiful careers that a lot of people can choose because the opportunities that you run into are amazing. We started working as Um, I can tell you, my brother was working as a low voltage tech, which
Hmm.
has to do with installing cameras, doing like alarms and stuff like that. And I happen to be working at a company where Tesla is right now. The name of it was New United
Hmm.
Motors. And I got to learn a lot of the electrical stuff. And this is all like industrial things. And then moving forward a couple years, he got into an accident at work and he was kind of like forced to go and take something else. The company shut down, New United Motors shut down, and we just kind of met like this. And before we know it, we found an EDS electric. Now, what we do is, at least for me, it's very exciting because every day you're doing something different. We got into the it was more like commercial type of electrical work now,
Hmm.
but we started working as mainly residential early in the days. And how it goes is like we do have a schedule of works that we have to do, jobs, installations. Installations means like it can be a brand new, think of it a home, like if it's new and there's a few components that go into it, and there usually takes days, weeks, months to get some of these work done, depending what it is. But you get up in the morning, you go through the work orders that you have and the things that you have to do. Um, there's always emergencies and things like that, so it's always exciting. But it's mainly dealing with anything that has to do with the wire. That's what we do. We manage to learn all these things, and we're so blessed. We get to work, let's say, in your house today, normal house in the Bay Area, and then the next day we're working in Google, Facebook, all these places, doing a lot of fancy stuff, fancy equipment, machines, and stuff like that. Um, Now we don't try to work as much anymore like we used to, so we just try to
Yeah,
stick with the 8 hours kind of thing.
sure.
Uh, we already did a portion, and together is it's a long way, but it's worth it. It's I can tell you that now. We own this company, and I think we're doing pretty good.
So it sounds like a job that you really enjoy, that you would
It's
you
it's
recommend
got
it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's for a lot of high school students, sometimes they don't even know what is it that they really like.
Yeah.
Being an electrician is not just someone that is going to replace light bulbs and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Uh, myself, I'm already doing electrical designs. Like I had this contract with this company in San Francisco, so I did not study to be a mechanical or a electrical engineer and stuff like that. But doing this for so long, it gave me the experience to do this kind of stuff. So now, I got this contract to, start working on industrial machines. So now I'm designing the prints for these machines. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, this is something that, I wasn't supposed to be doing. And, I trained myself to do AutoCAD drawings and stuff like that. And the beauty about this thing is that there's codes for everything. So it's not like you have to guess on how am I going to do it. So
Hmm.
it's a process. I think it's up to each individual how much you really want to learn and how much you want to do. You know, we've been doing so much from solar panels to, like I say, uh, control panels for huge commercial machines and stuff like that. So it is very exciting. I think it's not something where you get bored because you get a lot of stuff. For your students, I think it really is up to them, like which way they want to go, because there's different venues, there's different ways that you can get into.
It sounds like you're always learning something new. I mean,
Absolutely. No, it's
is the so maybe let's step back. Kind of from high school, let's say, to where you are now. I mean, what did you have formal training, or was it kind of all on the job learning that you've done?
I wish I would have someone like you that was giving us some kind of like information about where to go and how to do it.
Hmm.
All this stuff that we did was kind of like hands-on.
Yeah.
We started from like -5, if you want to say, when it comes to like how to learn this thing. It was more the drive and the desire to learn. So we started
Mm.
working for these companies that gave us the opportunity to start working as electricians or low voltage techs.
Yeah.
And in the process, we got to learn everything. Um, the good thing is that we didn't wait like many people do, and we continue innovating and learning. And before you know it, we started all this thing. But nowadays, there's a lot of places where people can actually start. Like, I know there's a place in Alameda at school that will like train you to get certified because now every single electrician has to be certified in California.
Hmm.
That certification is going to open the door to be hired by a company that is going to allow you to put in the hours that you need to get your California electrician certification, which is about 3 years worth of hours.
Mhm.
But it's like going to these places will get you going on something. It's your career. You're getting paid at the same time. You're accumulating these hours, and you're getting all this knowledge. And honestly, there's many fields that you can go into. A lot of people confuse electrician with just being someone that's going to come and fix something in your house.
Uh-huh.
Nah, that's not true. Because I can tell you that for the things that I'm doing right now, uh, they call me a electrical engineer designer, and I'm not. I
But
did.
that's what you're doing.
That's what
That
I'm doing exactly, and
yeah.
I get paid exactly as one. Just so you
Yeah.
guys know,
Hmm.
this is a now it's my time. Really, what I charge for. It's not really anything else. It's a project that I do. So all I'm saying is that what I started, my brother and I, to the things that I'm doing nowadays, calculating everything and all these things, is really up to us, and it's just a matter to how do you want to conduct yourself into this kind of stuff. You can stay in the typical electrician, which is mostly residential.
Hmm.
But if you happen to land in the right company and they give you the right opportunities, the sky's the limit to do all these things that you want to do.
Yeah. So you mentioned that these days there are programs that students could become involved with to
Yeah,
get certification. And does your company hire students or
we do
interns or
have
anything like that?
we do have a lately we've been involved with a lot of uh, work from the government, and they're very strict when it comes to like all these certifications and everything. So the number of people that we're allowed to have is very limited.
Hmm.
And because the kind of stuff that we do, um, there's a lot of people that want to work with us, honestly, because we touch, like I said, anything that has to do with the wire. We gain so much experience, and we're always training, you know, we always have about, I don't know if you get a chance to meet my brother, I'm sure you probably do, but we always have about 3 or 4 people,
Oh,
three or
okay.
four, like brand new students, that we give them a chance to
Yeah, that's what I was wondering is a
learn.
company like yours, which I assume is a relatively small company, you do have younger, less experienced people that you bring up
You
and
have to.
they do various parts of the job. And so they're
Yep,
learning on the job just like you were back then.
absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's normally how it goes. And it's all based on mainly relationships, people that you know, and stuff like that.
Hmm.
It's a little tough for people to just join companies like that because at the end of the day, this is a business and it's very critical, some of the things that we do.
Yeah.
But we do give people opportunities.
Right.
And
Yeah. And those students, those people that are just learning the job, I mean, they're working under the experienced supervision of someone who's making
yes,
sure they're doing it right.
yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's normally how it goes.
Um, Let me ask you, is there anything that you wish you could, tell your high school self that would maybe have set you up a little better,
Yeah.
or that you would advise high school kids now who are interested in the field?
Oftentimes in general, uh, it's tough to know where you're going in life. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to make a decision and say, okay, this is the path that I want to go. You don't know that until like 10 years from now. You're like, wow, if I would have done that, things would have been different. This is why I said at the beginning, having someone like yourself that it's having these kind of conversations from people is very important. Because let's be honest, life is not simple, but if I had a chance to go back and do things differently, I would definitely join a company like let's say Alameda County Electrical Apprenticeship. These schools, you know, train you on all the basics.
Hmm.
When you get out of these places, you're ready to, kind of like start working as an electrician because they teach you uh, all your typical stuff that you're gonna find. They talk to you about the circuits, and more importantly, like they coach you on how to get your certification. They train you on that kind of stuff, which is really important. And like I said, it's like a driver's license. You can go pretty much anywhere with that.
Yeah.
Without it is really tough. Unless you know someone, it's complicated because like I said, at the end of the day, there's a lot of liabilities and stuff like that. Going to Google is like if you're going to, Mars or something, you got to go through so much screening and stuff like that. But definitely getting into a program. There's a lot of colleges. I believe Contra Costa College offers some training about this kind of stuff. The electrical field is huge.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
there's like I myself, I'm an MRI tech as well,
Mm.
and there's a lot of things that I apply. Back in the days, I was offered a job as a MRI technician, which is the people that fix the MRI machines.
Hmm.
And I decided not to take it because there was a lot of traveling. That wasn't for me. Like you had to travel all over the place, and I wasn't about that. But that's just to show you the opportunities that you get when you get into this field. Like, would I recommend it? Yes. I think it's with all these new things that are coming up, AI, you name it. It's all these solar panels that are coming up. Everything is like it's one of the jobs from to my understanding that it'll be really hard to replace by AI
Yeah.
because it's complex. It requires a lot of thinking, um, and there's a lot of decisions that you have to make uh, yourself.
Yeah. Well, somebody's going to have to come in and fix the wires that the AI runs on.
Exactly.
So,
No, I mean there's you'll find that when you run into all these issues, like oftentimes, electricity behaves in a really weird way. Uh, if one of those wires happen to burn in the middle of the of a conduit of a pipe
mhm.
and it's not visible, it's really hard to, find those issues. But um, I think it's very exciting for me. It's been quite a journey, and I'm still fascinated by doing all these things that we do every day.
Well, it's great to hear that you're both super excited about your job and you're always learning on your job. That's, something that I hear from a lot of people that enjoy their work is,
Hmm.
that it gives you the opportunity to keep learning.
And the most important thing, Joe, is it pays more than the bills.
Yeah.
So I don't think no one is gonna work for fun. I think oftentimes, when my wife asks me, "Do you like what you do?" I go like, "Nope," and she goes like, "Really?" And I laugh and I go like, "If I had a choice to do something that I really like, I would be hiking every day,
Yeah, sure.
doing stuff like that."
That just doesn't
So
pay quite as good though.
exactly. So it's for your students, they have to make a decision. We living in tough times, and they need to look into what's real. I think becoming an electrician is not something out of this planet. I think uh it's a perfect age to start working on these things and
Mhm.
you know doing the right thing, landing on the right place. It pays really well.
Well, thank you so much for being here. If you can stick around a little bit, we're going to do a little Q&A at the
Sure.
end, and I am going to ask, I don't know if Nick Beasley is here or someone else from the Alameda County Office of Education. Is there anyone here who fits that bill? Maybe you could turn on your video if you are here. I was told there would be someone here to speak about exactly what Jose was just talking about, which is CTE opportunities in the area in Alameda County, but I don't know that we have anyone here. If anyone is here who fits the bill for that, feel free to jump in, turn on your video, and join us. Otherwise, I guess I'll open it up. Maybe Tara, Jose, and Nick, if you're still on, you could all turn on your videos. Maybe we could do a little Q&A. If any students or parents have any questions, you can just turn on your mic and ask away, or you can type it in the chat if you would rather have me read your question.
I had a question.
Yeah, go for it.
I wanted to ask Tara. She said she had a job that was like out of the country. And I was curious if she had to like apply for jobs everywhere out of the country, or did someone reach out and try and find her to offer that job?
That's a good question. Sometimes recruiters will reach out these days on like a LinkedIn situation, but back then it was very much, uh, you know, I decided where I wanted to go, and um, I just started looking for jobs in that area. So that's the way. Let's see, that back then it was Craigslist. Let's see. Craigslist is where I found my job in Hawaii. It's where I found my job in Anchorage, Alaska. It's where I found my job in Paris. It's where I found my job in New Zealand. So it was kind of a thing. You kind of, it's kind of very, thinking about it now, it's very, I don't even know if Craigslist is still out there, but it's not the same as it used to be. They used to be able to find kind of some interesting ways to look at local job boards. Um, but there's probably a more direct way to do it now, I'd say.
Well, would you say that, I mean, obviously everyone eats food, and so that's a pretty transportable skill once you've developed a certain repertoire and skill set, right?
I use that to my full advantage.
Yeah.
You know, because it didn't pay that great the first 10 years of my career, I really did try to just find jobs in places that I wanted to explore. And I use that as just a way to travel for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yep,
All right, thank you very much.
of
Yeah, thanks
course.
for asking. We have a question for Jose. Are you a licensed electrician? I think someone's just wondering,
Yes, I
you,
am.
yeah, okay.
Mhm.
But you acquired that over time, I would assume.
Yeah, this is something that, the state requires something like 8,000 hours to qualify for testing.
Okay. Okay.
And this includes schooling and on the job. So like
Yeah.
any hours that you have working for a company are valid for that.
Okay. Great.
Mhm.
Anyone else out there have any questions? You can jump in.
Yes.
You can, yeah, go for it.
Sorry. Hello.
Yeah.
For Jose, uh, I had a question about I'm not sure if he said the Alameda County or the Alameda Academy electrical apprenticeship, but I had more questions about that. If you know, if you Jose know Luis Galvan, he's been to Alameda High School several times to talk about work in the trades and such, and he gave me some opportunities, like at, I think it was Laney, for summer apprenticeships or pre-apprenticeships rather. And I guess I want to know if there are any more pre-apprenticeships, and also know about the Alameda County electrical apprenticeship.
Yeah, so this school is in San Leandro. I think it's one of the most renowned companies. I mean, I'm sorry, schools in the area. It's near where you guys are. Um, these people always reach out to companies like ours to kind of talk about their students and stuff like that for opportunities. Um, what this school is, I can give all the information to Joe so that he can pass it over to you guys, phone numbers and stuff like that. But um, this one's one of the best to like get you started if you have no experience or education whatsoever about how to become an electrician. Because they talk to you about construction and all the things that, involves doing the work.
Yeah. I apologize that we don't have someone here to talk about kind of the overall like CTE opportunities that are available in the area, but if I'm able to find any additional information, like specific stuff that I'll push it out to students at some point later. We
Okay.
had a
Thank you.
question. We had a question actually two questions for Nick. How does a 48-hour shift work, and are you on duty the entire time? In other words, that sounds like a crazy amount of time to be working.
Yeah, so you're basically gone from your regular life for roughly 1/3 of the time. So I showed up this morning at 8 o'clock, and I'll go home Thursday morning at 8 o'clock. So we have 4 stations in Alameda, and you are assigned to one of the stations. So that is basically our district. If you've ever seen us out and about, like at the grocery store, you'll notice that there's a few of us. We bring the fire engine or the ladder truck with us. The reason for that is We don't have superpowers. We have a lot of tools and capabilities, and we have to have those with us. So if we were to just go to the grocery store and not have our tools with us, we can't do our job. So we oftentimes will be at the grocery store shopping for dinner or breakfast or whatnot, and then a call will come in. So we'll leave the groceries, we'll go handle the emergency, and then we'll come back. We have beds. Generally in the evening time, 9, 10-ish, if you want to try to lay down and get a couple hours of sleep, if time permits, then there's some nights where you get lucky and you catch a few hours of sleep, and there's other times where you don't get any sleep at all. And then on your day 2, most people are up. Our day starts at 8, but most people are up by 6:30 or so. You have some people who are early morning risers and get a workout in the morning. Some people enjoy a cup of coffee, just kind of slow roll it until either calls or, again, checking out your equipment and then starting the day. So there's chores around here just like you would have at home. So if it's cleaning, I mean, we do everything you do at home. You clean the toilets, you sweep the floors, keep the firehouse. It's called a firehouse because it is your house. You keep it clean, and you run whatever emergency incidents it could be.
I've always wondered why the ladder truck is at the grocery store. I just thought it was the only thing that you would all fit in, but now it makes so much more sense.
Yep, when you're up, you're up. It's your turn. So
yeah.
In the ladder truck or the engine.
Someone else had a question for you, which is they say it really sounds like you love your job, but they imagine that it's hard to that there must be some really challenging parts. Is there support for firefighters for when something traumatic happens on the job, something difficult,
Sure.
challenging? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not all sunshines and rainbows. We aren't employed because everybody has the best day of their life every day. So that's what we're there to try to fix and to bring back to people. So there are many challenging calls, whether it be children, vehicle accidents. It's the LA fires. We work in Alameda. I was down in LA for 2 weeks, 18 days, whatever it was. And you're seeing people who literally lost everything.
Yeah.
So that kind of, you feel, you have compassion for people, and you have to be a very empathetic person for this job. But with that comes a lot of stress. We do have teams in our own department. It's called a critical incident stress management team. So if and when we have those calls, there's certain things that will trigger a response, and then it's optional for the employee to talk with. It generates our peers. But then in addition to that, we have a company called First Alarm Wellness that actually has licensed therapists to come in and talk. So you don't. There's things I wish I could forget, but you go on and you deal with it. We have people who do end up having to leave the job because of the stresses of it and mental illness that comes with it. The PTSD is a huge thing in the fire service right now. So it's a great question, but we do have options to deal with it. We don't have a dog. I'm hopeful that we're going to get a therapy dog here real soon. If you see Chief Luby out and about, let him know you guys want to see a dog in the fire stations. We'd love to have that.
I know that you talked about your path out of high school, but do you have, I don't know if I asked you if you have recommendations for high school students who are interested in becoming a firefighter, what they should do these days? Like, what's a typical path for that?
So the Fire Explorer program is a great path. We don't have one here in Alameda. I wish we did. There are other departments out there.
Okay.
I would check with Alameda County would probably be the closest one, or with Oakland. But many agencies have them, and it's not something where you have to live in that town. Like I said, it's usually a training that you go to one night a week, and then maybe 1 week in a month.
Okay.
To get a feel for it, you can ask to do a ride along with us. You can stop by our station 1 and sign a release of liability waiver, and we can allow you to do a ride along. And you might see if it's something that entertains you. Typically when we have ride-alongs, it's a very boring day until the student leaves. And as soon as the ride-along leaves, then all the calls come in.
Maybe they got to put in a 48-hour ride-along.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Anyone else have any questions? Oh, how old do you have to be to go on a ride-along?
So there's a program with the schools out here, and I don't know what the program's name is, but there are high school students. I believe that they're typically juniors or seniors.
Okay.
And so every year we have multiple ride-alongs for that program. Outside of that program, I believe you have to be 16 or 18. I would have to double check and get back to you on that.
Maybe under 18, maybe a parent has to sign too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions? I mean, anyone can feel free to jump in with a question. For firefighters, so firefighters only work 48 hours a week? No, I think you said you do.
So it's our work week is a 56-hour work week, but it's 48 hours at a time. And this is one of many schedules that are out there. So our schedule in Alameda, it's called a 48-96. You work 2 days on and you get 4 days off.
Okay.
There are variations of the schedules. There's called a Kelly schedule, which you work 24 hours on, 24 hours off. You do that a few times, you get multiple days off in a row. There's lots of different schedules out there. There's a 3-4. I happen to like this schedule the best. I've worked a few of them, and you come to work once, you are tired at the end of it, but then you're going to be rested for a few days, and you come back for more.
Yeah. I wanted to ask each of you if there's something you're looking forward to, something exciting coming up in the next day, week, month in your job that you could maybe tell us about. Maybe we can start with you, Nick. Is there anything coming up that's like got you a little jazzed?
Off the top of my head, it's hard to tell with our job what you're going to be doing. We don't have any academies in right now, which would be new recruits. I generally look forward to that.
Oh, yeah.
The thing that I'm trying to work on is putting together, like I mentioned, having some dogs at our stations.
Yeah, sure.
So just kind of keep plugging away at that. That's one of the big things that we have going. We have a lot of programs in our department and a lot of changeover. We just had some new people take over programs, so it's nice to see some enthusiasm going back into some things. So we've been working on that. So lots of changes here.
Tara, anything coming up that you're kind of excited about?
Well, we're about to head into what's considered event season. So typically that means that so I work for Skywalker Ranch.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is that we see a lot of big fancy events go on at the ranch, and sometimes you'll catch a glimpse of someone fun to look at occasionally in a professional way, of course. But that usually means lots of time in cram sessions with the other chefs creating menus, and that's always really exciting. That's the big fun creative part of my job on the day-to-day.
Yeah.
Wine paired events or big summer parties or things of that nature. If anyone likes the idea of event planning, that part's really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Jose, anything on the horizon for you that has got you kind of excited, looking forward to?
Yes, we got a few contracts with this company in San Francisco. They're actually, the name of the company is Heirloom Carbon. I believe it is the first company in the States that is doing capturing CO2 from the atmosphere.
Oh, interesting.
And their equipment, the stuff that they're using is mind-blowing.
Mm-hmm.
You guys will be the company. The plant is going to be in Tracy, and this company's in San Francisco. So there's like the kind of stuff they need to make this happen is just from another planet. It's just so new, high-tech stuff and things like that. So we're going to be doing the full installation of all their equipment. There's a lot of stuff that is coming from all over the place, Germany, Italy, and stuff like that. There's a lot of things that will require special attention, like the voltage in Europe is totally different as the voltage that we use here. So there's a lot of fun stuff, things you gotta
interesting
deal with. Yes.
Well, do we have any other questions out there from anyone? If we don't, then I am going to wrap this up, and I want to thank Jose and Nick and Tara for being part of this. I really appreciate you guys' setting aside the time for this. And I love hearing, how excited each of you are about what you do, and how it's always an opportunity to learn something new in your field. And thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Joe. Thanks,
Yep.
everyone.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Joe.
Thank you guys very much.
Everyone.
Thank you guys. That was awesome.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for being here.
Thanks so much, Joe, for organizing that. That was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was really, really cool.
Great.
Thank you.
Mhm.